means that we can use the web for...
I meant public surgeries, your meetings that you showed as the meeting rooms. I understood that this is the public surgery where people come together and talk.
No, the point about a social media surgery, which obviously I didn't explain very well, sorry about that, is it's where bloggers teach community groups and active citizens how to use the web to tell their own stories, to connect with each other, to collaborate, to hold power to account. So it's basically providing social media skills to civil society in a community. So my view is that at the same time you talked about as part of our work is working in public sector organisations, helping people understand how to use the web for their work. Yes. Another part of our work is working in communities, getting active citizens using the web so that you can actually start to have a fruitful conversation on the internet that involves a wide enough range of people that it's a sensible, sane, reasonable conversation. Because at the moment, what you often get is around a particular issue, if there aren't enough voices involved, you get the extremists lobbing hand grenades at each other and nobody wants to take part in that conversation. You just look at it and go, whoa! So broadening the range of people who are using the web for civic things is what we're about. What does that lead to? Well, I think it's really interesting because I think if we think about what does that change in terms of existing processes, I think we're often disappointed. It doesn't necessarily mean more people go to ward support meetings. It certainly doesn't mean that more people influence policy because the policy process isn't yet designed to be influenced by people. It's designed to be influenced by a constrained consultation process and not even that. So what it does do is allow more people to make things happen in their own way. It gives more power to the elbow of the militant optimists, if you know what I mean. But the next stage is that government flexes, changes, opens up, or is cracked.
Yeah, it's how to connect those two processes that are actually parallel at the moment, even though we use Next Hamburg sessions or you use social media, but we have this very similar effect that is, they are not in any way connected, the governmental processes and decision making, and then the citizens building the community, which is very nice, but still they need to, exactly, the point is then how to connect those two processes or interconnect those two communities.
And one last thought from me, sorry, is just as we learn to connect those things, actually what will happen is mainstream politics will start to change anyway. We will reconstruct our democracy. So two things are going to happen at the same time.
But we currently have some sort of small steps where we can interconnect these two possibilities, and one of them is something I presented in 1 or 2 minutes in my presentation about direct democracy. This is one possibility where we can say, okay, at the beginning we have a participation process, and at the end we'll have a public decide, a plebiscite, and we all will decide what will happen. This is one possibility how you can, of course, interconnect these sort of things. But I'm absolutely with you if you just say people, okay, come, spend your time and participate, and in the end we will decide whatever we like to do. And this is it is working very often this way, and this is the reason why I don't go to these panels anymore. So we really have to sort of bring them together, and direct democracy, of course, is one way.
Okay. We've got one more question from John. Just before we take that, I'll remind you that there's information in your packs about the next part of the program, which is during the lunch break. So there's the buffet, which is in about 5 minutes. Then for 20 minutes the buffet is open, and then but the buffet is open for an hour in total, but after 20 minutes we're starting these small presentation corners where you can go and talk to a few people about their projects. Some people have kindly volunteered to talk about themselves for 20 minutes at a time. So there are 3 in parallel, and then 20 minutes is the first 3 in parallel, and then after 20 minutes there's the second 3 in parallel. It's designed to be very informal. So I'll ask you to, people who are going to be presenting, shall I just ask them to stand up and quickly say who they are? I can start with...
Hi, my name is Ardam. I'm from Copenhagen, running a company called We Decide, and we help municipalities and political parties with engagement on both Facebook and on their websites. Thank you.
And then we've got, I'll start with Anthony here then. And then
Anthony Zaszewski from Democratic Society in the UK. We're doing a project in Brighton on neighbourhood engagement, which is called We Live Here, and we've been mapping the network of civic activism in the areas that we've been working, so I'm going to be talking a bit about that, and hopefully learning about lots of other things too.
Hannes Rutzig from Demos e-participation company. I'm going to introduce to you a platform called höchstspannend.de, which is an information and e-participation portal on the energy transition.
Thank you very much. Hi, this is Nadine. I'm working for a project on youth and e-participation, and yeah, I think the rest I will explain during the presentation. Thank you.
And then I think...
I'm Peter Sonntagbauer from Football Project, which is a large-scale Europe FP7 project in the area of e-participation, social media and simulation. So we are trying to combine all the approaches and also hopefully get some new IT technologies into that.
Right, so I haven't completely broken the flow of the conversation. I'll ask John to ask his question.
Thanks, John Shaw from Brighton and Hove City Council. My question's mainly aimed at Nick, but before I ask the question, I just wanted to kind of respond to the earlier questions that was raised by you in the sense of how you're connecting. In Brighton and Hove City Council, for example, we are actually working on a project at the minute about how you connect what we call the three interrelated parts of public service, citizens and innovation, and how we bring those elements together so that citizens are involved in the design and delivery of public services. So it's an actually fascinating time for us. And it just kind of leads me neatly into the question I've got for Nick in terms of the stuff that you experienced with Birmingham City Council. And I thought that was fascinating, and I remember the whole fiasco over the website, and indeed I wrote an article about that, heavily criticising them at the time of fundamentally cocking this up in a spectacularly great way. What's the relationship like now, and how is Birmingham City Council responding to what is happening at that civic action level?
Well, the relationship has got a lot better. It took about 18 months to 2 years for some of the people who'd been made most uncomfortable by that to actually start talking to us. But then that's true. You know, ultimately these are, we're people, and if you do things that embarrasses somebody or hurts somebody, it still embarrasses them, it still hurts them. The main problem with Birmingham is it's so big. It's such a big council that it's so embroiled in its own internal politics. Plus, it's got Service Birmingham and Capita sitting right at the heart of it. That it's almost impenetrable. But there are. You know, there are militant optimists in the City Council. There are things that happen under the radar. But broadly speaking, the stuff we manage to do with the council happens under the radar, doesn't go through the comms department. You know, so I think that Birmingham is too big a nut to expect to allow itself to be cracked. However, we've got a new administration coming into power. We'll see. You usually get about 6 months of people being open-minded before they start to get paranoid again. So we'll see.
Right, so any further questions before we go to the lunch break? I'll just reassure you that there is an hour of full-on buffet. Okay. So I think people were getting the idea that there was only 20 minutes. I know, yeah.
You think now they got more time for questions or what?
Sorry?
Now we got more time for questions because the buffet will be open in 1 hour, so feel free.
No, for an hour, a whole hour. So I didn't want people thinking that'd be cut down to 20 minutes buffet. That would be awful. But right. So anyway, the buffet is downstairs in the area where we all came in the reception area. Just a big thanks to Nick, Daniel, and Cynthia. That was a really interesting discussion and.